So I didn't know this, but Big E's son, J-Dub, he's a Ravens fan. And I'm just like, oh, because when the kids grow up, it's like, well, who's popular, who's hot, and he loves Lamar Jackson. And I was just like, oh, man, my best friend's son is a Ravens fan. Bloom, I can't handle it.
I would be a Ravens fan if I was choosing teams. If I had just had no connection to Western Pennsylvania and I was just dropped into this world brand new today, I'd be a Ravens fan. Sorry, Steelers fans.
Well, Lamar Jackson is the man, that's for sure. All right, we are live, and we're going live. Bloom, did you tweet us out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Behind the scenes stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. 3, 2, 1. And we're back. It's time to talk about the AFC North here on the Audible 2020 NFL Draft Recap. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom in Cincinnati. Love you. Oh, man, feels so good, especially for, well, I got to start with Baltimore. See?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's a live show, people. I'm so hung up on what Cincinnati did, Bloom. My brain was just like skipping the B's.
Sure.
Going straight to the C's. There's a joke I could tell about C's, but I won't because I don't want YouTube to demonetize the video because Lord knows what you can and can't say. Anyway, I got to complain about him once a video, Bloom. Baltimore Ravens. I mocked to the Baltimore Ravens, my first and only first-round mock draft, which I got 10 picks right. I got a lot of love for that and appreciate everyone for that. I had him taking Kenneth Murray, and when I wrote it up, I said, oh, man, it'd be so unfair for them to get Kenneth Murray. And, well, they didn't get him. They got Patrick Queen. That's still unfair, Bloom, when you talk about a coverage linebacker, a guy that can find the ball quickly, can break up passes, and just be in the back pocket of basically anyone that he's asked to cover. A little bit smaller, not known necessarily as like a violent tackler, but there you go. Patrick Queen, round 1. So you're like, oh my God, what a godsend that they get. By the way, Broncos were trying to move back in before Baltimore and get Patrick Queen. Didn't happen, obviously. J.K. Dobbins in the second round. You kidding me? So with back-to-back picks, at the end of the rounds, the Ravens were able to crush it because Dobbins could have been, hell, it could have been the Chiefs pick, Bloom.
Right.
And we'll get to their draft at the end of the segment here at the end of the round. But J.K. Dobbins, best all-purpose back in this draft. If you said that, I wouldn't argue much because he's a great receiver, certainly a fine runner as well. So, okay, Baltimore, the strong get stronger. That's for sure. Speaking of stronger, up front, Justin, I'll call him Marmaduke. It's Matabuke for defensive tackle from Texas A&M in the third round. Devin Duvernay. There's your speed, right? Speed, and more speed. Devin Duvernay, and not just a speed guy like a Marquise Goodwin. Duvernay's got really good receiving skills. Third round pick to take the top off the defense over Lamar Jackson. Malik Harrison, linebacker, Ohio State there. Another third round pick because they had 4 of them. Tyree Phillips, from guard from Mississippi State, round 4. Ben Bredesen, guard from Michigan, round 5. Broderick Washington, defensive tackle, Texas Tech, round 6. James Prochet, there's your wide receiver from SMU. Remind you of a little bit of Emmanuel Sanders when he came out of SMU with that run after the catch ability and quickness with the sickness. Round 7, Geno Stone, safety from Iowa. So here we go. Bloom, I still hate him, but it's mostly just envy and jealousy because they're so good.
And every year, they just let the draft come to them.
Yep.
Every single year. You just count on it. And remember, they had an extra second, third, and fourth round pick. This year, they nailed it. Patrick Queen, just kind of that queasiness, watching Queen fall down the board in the 20s, knowing that he was there. Perfect. Truly perfect. Now you see the bridge from C.J. Mosley, who was with the Jets for a blink last year, to Queen, 3-down linebacker, leader of a national champion defense. Is going to step in right away and be a massive producer and fill one of the biggest holes on this team. By the way, they also traded down in the second round from their second round pick and moved one of their fourth round picks in the third round. Just teaming up with Patrick Queen, they took Malik Harrison from Ohio State, who matches so well with Queen. Harrison may or may not be someone you want on the field in passing downs. Excellent in run defense. So now you have those two guys side by side to develop together. But that's not all. They take J.K. Dobbins. Okay, not a huge fan of the pick just because it's a running back. There's a lot of other directions they could have gone there. They didn't need Gus Edwards is good. Justice Hill is good. Mark Ingram is still good. They didn't need J.K. Dobbins. I think this is just one of those situations where they had a first round grade on Dobbins, and you have a chance to get a first rounder in the second round near the end of the second round. This is the pick they got for Hayden Hurst. Sure, and he's going to add value. He's going to have an opportunity to make some of those runs into long runs that maybe Edwards or Ingram couldn't. For fantasy, just take him in the top 5 of your rookie drafts. May or may not have an impact in fantasy drafts this year, but wow, is he set up to succeed in this offense? They trade down again from 60 to 71. They get Madubuike, just disruptor, a penetrator, a guy who's going to get collapse pockets or otherwise, penetrate against the run and be a handful. Devin Duvernay, love this pick. Love this pick. Love this pick. He's a running back who can play slot receiver and get free deep. He likes to block. Does that sound good for a Ravens defense for a slot receiver? I mean, Willie Snead, we love what he's been able to do, underdog story, what he's made out of his career. But with Devin Duvernay, you get vertical speed. So if Marquise Brown can't stay healthy, you get a blocker, and you also get a guy with a running back's mentality after the catch. Maybe not the best route runner, not those oily hips. So he's not, kind of the opposite of KJ Hamler in that sense. But as far as his impact and the way he fits in this offense, beautiful. I mean, just a perfect fit. They get Tyree Phillips, a road grader, not the first one. Steelers got one of those too in this draft, so you got to love that. They got a nose tackle. Stone, the safety they got at the end of the draft, is a guy who plays with high football IQ. This is one of those debate seats, right? When you watch like a safety, if you can process and get valid instructions, can that override not having the ideal speed, closing speed, quickness? We'll see, but that's the kind of chance you want to take in the 7th round. But this team, it's unfair for them to, even though they got knocked out by the Titans in the divisional round, to get these kind of upgrades and balancing long-term and short-term also. Correct. So Eric DaCosta, you learn from the best in Ozzie Newsome, and it shows.
Oh, Ozzie Newsome. Love that guy, man. Absolutely fantastic. And the Baltimore Ravens, big trust, right? With Tyler Huntley, the priority free agent that's at the top of the list. Lots of PFAs for Baltimore Bloom and lots of good ones. Yeah. But I'll highlight Huntley mainly because he's a player, so I'm down at the Shrine Bowl, that you think, okay, you got a good arm. You don't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't throw it to the other team a whole lot. And he's a higher percentage passer than you think. He's also athletic. So, okay, undrafted guy, rotate him in, developmental guy. I just like the fit with Baltimore, well behind Lamar Jackson. No threat whatsoever, but just a very interesting, like, if you could pick the best situation
exactly
before this draft, you would have said, Baltimore.
Right. Good job. Exactly. And and by the way, since I gushed about Baltimore, I should say they didn't get an edge player. So Matt Judon and Ferguson and Bowser. I still like Tyus Bowser, but that is who they're relying on to get pressure from the edge. So, that's, if there is a flaw here with all the picks they had, they did not get an edge rusher. Tyler Huntley, yes, exactly. If we were having a conversation about Tyler Huntley in January or February, we'd say, well, a team like Baltimore might be able to make something out of him. In a system like Baltimore's system, that might maximize what he can do, at least to be a backup quarterback. And you love that. You love being able to get that. Again, it's self-scouting. It's knowing what you value in players. And just as a quick aside, Cease, I would love to be able to distribute a questionnaire to each team where they just said, the things we value the most in a player at this position are X, whatever. I think some teams, probably you get different answers from different people in the organization. Baltimore has that organizational clarity. They know what they value in players. I'll also point out Tyson Williams here because he's a Matt Waldman favorite. And, player, I think, bounced around. Tore ACL at BYU. I know that the practice squads are going to be expanded. Plus, this is an injured reserve guy more than a practice squad guy. They don't need a running back. But anytime, that was the guy, Cease, I asked Waldman on the show. We miss you on Thursday nights, by the way. We really miss you.
We miss you guys too.
The player that he is going to be on the all Matt Waldman team, like the Cedric Pierman. That was the name he immediately said, Tyson Williams. So I'm going to say Tyson Williams.
Okay, there we go. All right, Baltimore, y'all gone up and done it. As we continue the conversation, do I get to talk about Cincinnati now? Now! Oh, so many lines from Die Hard I could quote. But Joe Burrow, speaking of your superhero like Bruce Willis, he's getting it done. Joe Burrow for Cincinnati. And just some of our online friends, Bloom, because I don't think either one of us have met Joe Goodberry in person, have we?
Not yet.
No, I don't believe so. But just when you know, you kind of know a person just based on their online persona and how good they are in the community and draft Twitter and just NFL Twitter in general. When guys that we see that have, loved this team and have been agonized for years and years and years get like super excited for good reason over Joe Burrow. I mean, it just makes you feel good, right? Because that's a fan base that's long suffering and gets a real franchise quarterback that can start from day one. And they get a guy that's incredibly accurate, but it's not just about the accuracy. It's about pass placement, because any college quarterback can be accurate. They're throwing 5-yard passes, but it's about the pass placement. It's about the ability to maximize the yards after the catch. It's about the leadership and the moxie and the qualities. It's got more escapability than people think. If Joe Burrow ever pulled off like an Eli Manning, Patriots Super Bowl 42 play, wouldn't be surprised at all. Excuse me, as I choke up talking about this Bengals draft. But Joe Burrow, number one overall, of course. T. Higgins in the round number 2 as the number 1 pick, and round 2 reminds me of Cortland Sutton. Big, faster than you'd think, win the ball in the air. T. Higgins, thought of as a late first, early second. There he goes. Logan Wilson. Oh boy, love this pick. I was at the Wyoming Pro Day specifically to see Logan Wilson. Thought the Broncos would take him. They didn't. That's a mistake for them. But Logan Wilson, converted corner at 10 picks in his career at Wyoming, from Casper, Wyoming. So there we go. And just a coverage guy. It's a great tackler, great worker, great leader, all that kind of stuff. Akeem Davis-Gaither, another guy that can hit and can cover. Linebacker, Appalachian State, round 4. Round 5, Khalid Kareem, edge from Notre Dame. Round 6, Akeem Adingini. Oh, God, I'm going to butcher so many names. I apologize. Guard from Kansas. Round 7, Marcus Bailey. Linebacker, Purdue. So we take a deep breath. We look at Cincinnati and we say, good job, Cincinnati.
Yeah, good job getting the number 1 pick in a draft with Joe Burrow. And then more of that. But yeah, Joe Burrow, transformative player. Arm strength, I guess, is the only thing that's missing, honestly. You just love the way he handles pressure. You love the way he negotiates the pocket. You love the way he's such an aggressive downfield passer. Hyper accuracy, not just as a rhythm passer, not just hitting this top of the 3 or 5 step drop and getting it out on time and on target, but he just understands how to make throws, leading the receiver, throwing receivers open from different platforms. And he has that tranquility. Cecil, you're an Ohio kid, and you come down to Louisiana, you come down to Baton Rouge, and you take the lead in that locker room, in that program, and you elevate that team the way he did. There's that it factor, and it's exactly what the Bengals need. Not as outspoken as Baker Mayfield, and maybe Baker Mayfield isn't going to be able to follow through on his claims, but this idea of taking on that project, and you love it. Storybook. And then Higgins, what you like about Higgins is you're looking forward. Probably no John Ross next year.
No AJ Green next year.
Probably no AJ Green, yeah. So, but it's a commitment, right? I mean, usually you take the quarterback and then the next year you take a receiver. But Higgins has that huge frame, sometimes just breathtaking concentration catches with his huge catch radius. And like you said, Cease, surprising speed. And then they triple up at linebacker. You mentioned Logan Wilson. It's like an IDP special, right? I mean, this dude just going to hoover up tackles all over the field. He's going to, I mean, he's a outstanding all-around player, athleticism, leader of the defense. But then they, in the 4th round, get Akeem Davis-Gaither, who maybe is more of a 21st century linebacker, a little bit light. You don't know how he's going to hold up against the power game, but he is going to be a good athlete, good in coverage. And then let's just go down to the 7th round and talk about Marcus Bailey, because Bailey is a guy who tore ACL early on, but an excellent coverage linebacker. So they've got coverage linebackers. They've got Logan Wilson. They've really rebuilt their linebacking core in this draft. They get an early down end Kareem. Adeniji is a versatile backup. This is about Burrow to Higgins in the offense. This is about those linebackers. I think the way they deployed those picks were good. Was a position of weakness. This is a draft for Bengals fans. Speaking about looking to the future and having hope, it's exciting to be a Bengals fan. When was the last time we said that, Cecil?
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been doing the show since 2006. Can't really remember a time that we've ever said that sentence. Let's talk about Devon Whaley. They're undrafted free agents for the Bengals. Arkansas kid, great contact balance, and a better receiver than advertised than some people would think. So you think to the future, Bloom, you're like, are they going to keep Joe Mixon or what?
Right.
So you look to the backups and undrafted guys. Devon Whaley, it's a name I'll be watching.
Yeah, they got Scotty Washington, another long receiver, a 6'5" receiver. They got a blocking tight end. They like those blocking tight ends. They took Drew Sample in the second round last year. So, not a lot of exciting undrafted free agents, but they don't need any more excitement.
They don't need any more excitement. The Cleveland Browns, they're like, can we have some excitement, but for reasons that actually matter, not for commercials? And Baker the Baby Maker, a guy we talk about often. All right, you got Stefanski. Let's see what you can do here. And they pick up Njoku's fifth-year option. Very interesting, Bloom. Let's talk about what they did in the draft, though. At number 10, it's not Ezra Cleveland. So we could have Cleveland on the front and the back. Yay, it's Jedrick Wills because he can actually play. Top-rated tackle. Most people considered him the number one tackle. Andrew Thomas was my favorite tackle in this class, but Wills obviously highly graded, very strong, powerful, etc. Round 2, Grant Delpit, safety from LSU. Could have been a first rounder, so, early enough in the second round. Jordan Elliott, defensive tackle from Mizzou in the third round. Another third rounder, Jacob Phillips, linebacker from LSU. In round 4, Harrison Bryant, tight end from FAU. So again, Bloom, thinking to the future for Cleveland. Okay, Njoku's fifth year's picked up. Hooper's there. It's Stefanski, though. We saw last year Rudolph and Irv Smith had both like 45, 48 targets. So here we go. Harrison Bryant now, future pick. Nick Harris, center from Washington. Thought he might get picked a little bit higher. Donovan Peoples-Jones rounds things out for the Browns. The big wide receiver from Michigan.
Great draft. Granted, what are the draft grades worth? What do we really know? Draft grades are worthless, Cease. What do we even know about these players? Talk to me in 3 years.
That's the worst part of the sports radio handbook, if I may go on a little diatribe, because there's a sports radio handbook and it's god awful. And if you listen to sports radio long enough, you know what it's around the Major League Baseball All-Star game. Let's see, how can the other All-Star games ever match that? Yes, we know Major League Baseball All-Star games after the draft. Let me see the handbook. You can't grade a draft. Hot take, oh my God, you can grade a draft. Now you have to wait to see how those grades work out, but you can grade them on who they picked, how they were thought of before the draft, and how they filled their team needs. So yes, Bloom, yes, 1,000% you can grade a draft.
Yeah, I mean, we know things about these players. We know things about these teams. Okay, Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, clarity. Hey, it's nice when you have alignment, and Waldman is excited. I actually got to see him be excited about Jedrick Wills. Get a left tackle. And there's some talk, is one of these tackles even going to fall to them at 10? They actually got their pick of 3 of the 4. And Wills played right tackle, whatever. That's to his blind side at Alabama. They can make him. They got Bill Callahan. So, they're going to be able to make him a left tackle. No problem at all. So you love this. I mean, this is one of those things that is going to be a big improvement for Baker Mayfield. Remember, it was Greg Robinson? Come on. Second round. See, if we were looking at the defensive side of the ball for the Browns, we would say, what's the problem area? Safety. Grant Delpit. We're just going to talk about LSU players like
Right.
every 5 minutes on
Right.
these 14 LSU players. I think tied the record. Not sure. Grant Delpit, a little bit of a down 2019. Last year at this time, where was Delpit projected? Top 10, top 15?
Yeah.
For sure. First safety off the board. They actually traded down and got Delpit. They were able to do so much in this draft to make this team better right away. Third round, you get a versatile linebacker in Elliott. I'm sorry, a versatile defensive tackle, somebody who's going to be able to fill a lot of different holes. Also, Andrew Berry, not sitting tight. They trade down from 74 to 88, since they get to the Saints' third-round pick. They have the Saints' third-round pick next year. So of everything else they've done in this draft, they also have an extra third-round pick next year. Elliott is one of those players who's going to fill gaps, who's going to be able to help in a rotation, a tough player, a really nice pick there. They get Phillips, another LSU player, inside linebacker, solid player. He's not going to be Quan Alexander. He's not going to be one of Devin White. Harrison Bryant, another Waldman favorite, his number one tight end in the RSP. Spoiler alert. Just a very competent player. And yes, Kevin Stefanski is going to use a lot of 2 tight end, a lot of 3 tight end sets. David Njoku in the fifth year option. We'll see. He hasn't played up to the money he's going to get. It is going to be kind of a low number because tight end is a low number for the 5th year option. But whether or not Njoku has a future with the team beyond that, Phillips certainly does. And Phillips could be just as good as Austin Hooper or better. Really skilled player, some size, some speed. You're not particularly dynamic athletically, but very, very competent and skilled. They get an overachieving center in that free pick they got. So the Colts wanted Jonathan Taylor so badly, they gave up a third-day pick just to move up 3 picks. And again, the Browns still got Delpit. And then in the 6th round, they get Donovan Peoples-Jones. And see, isn't this exactly the kind of pick that we would be making if we were calling the shots in war rooms in the 6th and 7th round? Ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
Ceiling. All kinds of athleticism. I'm not sure where he fits in the maybe just as a punt returner. That's fine, but all kinds of ceiling and athleticism. Quarterback play in Michigan, not good. A lot of times that was the narrative you heard about Peoples-Jones. Oh, if he had a quarterback, you would see what he could do. Right. I didn't see a lot of refined, polished wide receiver skills. It's a 6th round pick. It's a perfect use of a 6th round pick. I don't really have anything bad to say about this draft.
How about their UDFAs? And if you were to guess who I was going to talk about, you'd probably say, maybe it's Lammey. No, it's Kevin Davidson. Saw him down at the Shrine. Saw Lammey at the Shrine Bowl too, but Davidson, the Princeton kid, tall pocket passer. Our friend Lance Zierlein from NFL.com says all day accuracy. Yeah, he's a pretty passer, that's for sure. Maybe kind of a stick in the mud, but smart, accurate. I'll take that as a priority free agent just to see what happens, Bloom.
They get AJ Green, not that AJ Green, Oklahoma State corner. There's a big bidding.
Who should have been drafted.
Yeah, exactly. A long corner, $145,000. I think they gave him. They get a really interesting guy, Alex Taylor, and this is a former basketball player, 6'9". Just remember whenever Philadelphia took that rugby player, the massive rugby player in the 7th round. See what you can make out of him. Mailata, I think his name. And Cecil, got to mention the Colorado Buffalo, Tony Brown. And kind of the anti-Laviska Shenault, right? Where Laviska Shenault just oozes all this athleticism. There's like a superhero out there. Brown is just a good, solid receiver. Played with Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech, actually, before he ended up at Colorado. So always want to give a shout out to our Buffaloes when we can.
Yes, that's for sure. A shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers because they took some of my favorite players in this draft class. Let's talk about our beloved Steelers. No 1st round pick, but got Minka, so
right.
Don't need it. Got Chase Claypool, need it, and it's just something that's turned around. I think I bring it up every year. Like, gone are the day of Lima Swede and Troy Edwards, where the Steelers are like, I have no idea how to pick a wide receiver. They take a wide receiver. That is message. Chase Claypool, wide receiver, Notre Dame. Is he a tight end? Is he a wide receiver? I don't give a damn. Sorry, YouTube. But like seriously, Claypool with that size speed combination, the way he's got some physicality to his game, it's a perfect receiver for the Steelers. Love that pick, but not as much as I love Alex Highsmith. And if you haven't seen him, 3rd round pick from Charlotte, saw him down at the Shrine Bowl, Bloom. And the first time he did this, it's the weirdest thing ever. Like, for the love of God, you'll never see anything like this. It's the flying spin chop move that Highsmith does as a pass rusher. He did it at the Shrine Bowl, and I was like, what? Wait a second, what? Like, them was jokes. Like, he's joking around. Like, you get to work, kid. Like, no, he's coached to do that. And it works as a pass rusher. So Steelers coach him up. Steelers pass rusher, Alex Highsmith from Charlotte. Yes, please. And everyone out there, Google it. Look up his spin. It's a jump spin. It's a martial arts thing. It's the weirdest thing you'll see on a football field, but it works. It's awesome. Anthony Mcfarlane, one of my favorite smaller runners in this class from Maryland, reminded me of Philip Lindsay, honestly, because he's small. He doesn't mind running inside. He'll do that dirty work inside. Got enough juice to burst to outside at the second level when he's at the linebacker level. Better receiver than some people would think. Kevin Dotson, Louisiana Lafayette guard. Probably should have been picked higher, but he's a 4th round pick for the Steelers. I love that. Antoine Brooks, another Maryland player, safety of Maryland in the 6th round. And Carlos Davis, another Shrine Bowl guy. So I saw both of the Davis brothers down there, defensive tackle from Nebraska. They got Carlos in the 7th round overall. We were texting back and forth during the draft, Bloom. Very happy with what the Steelers did.
Yeah, well, I was happier about Chase Claypool before they announced he's going to be an outside receiver for them. But like you said, if we talk about this draft, we have to talk about Minka Fitzpatrick first, because they got Minka Fitzpatrick on a rookie deal. The last 3 years of his rookie deal, they don't have to pay his signing bonus. He was a transformative pick. Using the pick to get him. It was a team that felt like despair, all's lost, and Minka Fitzpatrick was the rug that tied the room together for this defense and really made this a defense forward team. Also, the 3rd round pick gone because of Devin Bush, another important player. They didn't get anybody to help next to Devin Bush. I hope Ulysses Gilbert is ready. They also, by the way, traded 5th round down to 7th round to get Chris Wormley. That's next year's 5th round to 7th round from Baltimore. I liked Wormley a lot at Michigan. They get Claypool. And look, Claypool, he's big, he's fast, very little nuance and subtlety to his routes. No, doesn't really change speeds, doesn't really have anything in his breaks to shake his guy. I think outside cornerbacks in the NFL are going to know how to handle him. I think they're going to know how to handle him on releases. I think they're going to be able to run with him. I think they're going to know how to handle him at the catch point. Sometimes he can just elevate over them because of his size. But that's it. And I get it. Ben Roethlisberger can take advantage of that. See, at least if it's a deep ball this year, it's not to Johnny Holton. At least it'll be to Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
I get that. I don't know if you use that. There's so much else out there for a 2nd round pick. I hope and pray that Juju Smith-Schuster, who I love, probably gone in free agency next year, and then you see a lot more of Chase Claypool in the slot. Put him against smaller, quicker slot corners who aren't going to be able to handle his size and speed together. Put him against linebackers and safeties. Put him in the middle of the field. Then I'm more excited about Chase Claypool. I think Matt Waldman said something to the extent of, as a 4th round pick, I'd like him. As a 2nd round pick, we'll see. I think the Steelers maybe got a little bit, because this isn't the kind of wide receiver they usually hit on. This isn't the precise route runner. This isn't the quick receiver. This isn't the receiver who displays refinement and skills. This is a big guy who can run fast, and we'll see about the rest. They get Highsmith. They needed help at the edge. They've got Watt, they've got Dupree, and not much. Yeah. So Highsmith, a refined pass rusher for a college outside edge rusher as far as his moves, like you said, Cease, hand fighting. You see, maybe he's just a passing down specialist, but in a very important role. Don't love the Mcfarlane pick. Now, I know Matt Canada is on the offensive staff now. He coached him. Mike Tomlin's kid goes to Maryland, so they take 2 Maryland players.
Right.
Okay. McFarlane's got speed. He can beat college defenders to the corner. He can outrun them. He can add an element. I mean, Kareth White has speed too. McFarlane's a little more compactly built, a little more rugged. McFarlane's not going to become the lead back. Okay, he's going to add an element to this backfield. And look, when you're taking fourth round pick, Cecil's like a scratch off. Fourth round pick after fourth round pick at running back. It's not going to yield anything. It's the second round. If you take J.K. Dobbins, okay, now you're upgrading. You're really upgrading the running back position. Even Cam Akers, you're upgrading the running back position. I don't know that Anthony McFarlane really upgrades very much for this team. I understand they're looking ahead maybe to the future without James Conner, but at that point you double back and you want someone, if you're going to spend resources at running back, it should be somebody who upgrades the position. Benny Snell didn't upgrade the position. McFarlane's a better pick than Benny Snell. But
we should have got Darrell Henderson.
Well,
let's
maybe
just
they
be
get him in a
honest.
trade. They should get him in a trade. Hey, call up Sean McVay. Dotson's a great pick.
Yes.
Just a mauler. An absolute mauler. Don't know why this guy didn't get invited to the combine, but you're going to love him in Pittsburgh. Love him. Future starter. Excellent pick. My favorite pick of this draft. You get Brooks, the safety from Maryland. He's built like a running back, like 5'10", 220, and he's a hitter. He loves mixing it up. He's going to help out on special teams. He's got some football IQ. Athletically, I'm not really quite sure where he fits. That's okay because you have Minka Fitzpatrick, so you can figure it out. Davis, an uninspired pick. You made a body on the defensive line. But this draft is about Minka Fitzpatrick and to a lesser extent, Devin Bush. And for that, I'll say it was a good draft.
Okay, good draft. How about undrafted? Well, not much from skill position, but defensive end Josiah Coatney from Ole Miss, player saw down at the Senior Bowl, player the Broncos were interested in, Bloom. And as a tweener, can play defensive tackle, defensive end, is all about making plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage. So I like picking up Coatney as a priority free agent.
Yeah, and they get a guy, Calvin Taylor, a 6'9" defensive end who was a basketball player at first in prep school and may have some upside there. But the Steelers actually didn't do too much in undrafted free agents because they signed like how many XFL players? 5, 6, 7. They signed a lot of XFL players. And that's kind of, I think we saw the Panthers do this. That's kind of their undrafted free agent class. They got Saeed Blacknall. Now, he's a former Penn State wide receiver who has 4.4 speed and is 6'2". They also got Kavon Walker, who was leading the XFL in sacks. So again, we saw the Panthers do something like this with AAF players last year. The Steelers doing it with XFL players this year. You got to include that when we break down their draft.
And that is a wrap for the AFC North draft recap here on the Audible. It's Cecil, Lammey, and Sigmund Bloom. Follow us on Twitter with our names, and then follow the Audible on Twitter at the Audible. Certainly appreciate you guys for listening via Spotify and Apple Music or iTunes or whatever the hell it's called now, and just any sort of platform. You can listen to us on Alexa. So that's awesome. We certainly appreciate all of our interactions with y'all and had fun with the NFL drafts. We've got more recaps to go. We're going to be doing 2 divisions a day, wrapping things up on Friday, Bloom, with, of course, the West. So coming up on tomorrow on Wednesday shows, it'll be the NFC East and the AFC East. And boy, do we have a lot to get to in both of those divisions. So again, thank you guys for listening. Just a quick shout out, as I do every day on my radio show in Denver. But hospital workers, y'all are the real angels, man. So thank you all very much. Thanks to our postal workers, grocery store workers, truck drivers, everyone keeping us going as we all go through this together. We will get through this together and come out better for on the other side. So we certainly appreciate you guys working hard. Thanks, y'all, for listening. He's Sigmund Bloom. I'm Cecil Lammey. We'll see you tomorrow right here on our YouTube channel and right here in your earbuds on iTunes, Spotify. Thank you. It's the Audible. Stay tuned. Stay frosty.